recording. So I think let me just quickly recap what we have done so far. I'll also share my screen. Is everybody able to see my screen? Right, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So I think, I'm barring the previous introductions that I gave, but I think recently for the last 2-3 classes, what we were talking about objects and object relationships, which are nothing but tables in what you call in any other language, or in any other regular database, it would be tables. And in Salesforce, we call a table as an object, and the relationship between tables we call object relations. So we spoke about what is the parent object, what is the child object. We saw some scenarios on when we would be defining, when we would need a parent-child relationship. We also spoke about some of the scenarios where parent-child relationship is applicable or would come into place. We also saw some standard examples like account and contact is a lookup relationship. We saw the relationship between the account and opportunity, things like that. So the objects that come out of the box with Salesforce are called as standard objects. These objects come out of the box. And any object that we create are called custom objects, because these are the custom tables that we are creating. And the custom objects have a $_C notation. The $_C notation is nothing but $_C. The C stands for custom, which indicates that it is a custom object, whereas for standard objects, the API name is very straightforward. For account, it's just account, contact is contact, opportunity is opportunity. So there are lots of standard objects that we already have. Now, the API name of any object should be unique. The field name of a field within an object should be unique. For example, in employee object, we created title. We created a field called title, and the API name of the title field is title $_C. So within the employee object, we can create another field called title, but the label can be title, but the API name cannot be title $_C. On another object, if you are creating another object and you want to use a field called title, yeah, you can absolutely create title $_C. So within the object name have to be unique across the whole org, like whatever org that we have, the object name have to be unique across, whereas the object API name or field API name should be unique within the object. So API stands for Application Programming Interface. So the API name is useful because whenever we write any code or whenever we write any configurations, we do all those within, we do all those using the API names. We never refer labels in any of our code. We always refer the API names. Okay. Then we started building an app. So we are trying to build a custom application for a conference management. Although we have, so Salesforce, basically what we do is we build multiple applications. All the objects can be used across applications. So there is no rule that an object have to be used within an app. So once you create an object, it can be used in any of the apps that you have. But basically, depending on the app that we are using, we tend to, control what's accessible within an app. So in Salesforce, we can create multiple apps. One of the apps that we are trying to create is a conference management application, where we are trying to, the business requirements of this conference management is nothing but we have sessions Salesforce administration or Java administration, Java development, or session name is nothing but imagine it's a huge conference, a tech conference that's going on, and there will be a lot of sessions that's going to take place, and there will be a lot of speakers as well. Speakers are the people, nothing but who are going to present their sessions. So there will be lot of sessions, and there will be a lot of speakers, and each speaker will be presenting a lot of sessions, and the other way around, one session can also have multiple speakers because, of course, there can be multiple people, if it is a group presentation, there can be multiple people presenting one session. So, we try to establish those relationships. And then we also have people, we also have, for example, Salesforce conducts webinars. Salesforce basically conducts webinars. So whenever a new release comes, right? So whenever a new release, remember we spoke about Salesforce does 3 releases every year. Let's say a new release is coming up now. So they would conduct a webinar explaining what are the new features that are there, like what are the new features that are going to come up, how it's going to impact the customers and all. So they will conduct that webinar. Now that webinar is nothing but a session. Basically from there, and that webinar is nothing but a session. And then there will be multiple speakers because remember we saw the release notes. The release notes is like 416 pages or something. So a single person cannot cover all the topics. So basically within one webinar, there will be 3-4 different people that will be covering all the topics. So that webinar is nothing but a session. And the session name will be probably Spring 19 release. Okay, that's a session. And the speakers are like, there can be 4 or 5 people speaking at that, webinar. At the same time, the same speakers might also be talking at other webinars too. So it's a many-to-many relationship that we will try to establish. And then what happens is there are people like us, right? We are customers for Salesforce. So there are people like us who sign up for that webinar and we will attend that webinar. So when we sign, so all these information have to be, if Salesforce is maintaining an application for all the conference management, they have to maintain these, right? They have to maintain an object where all the sessions are stored. They have to maintain an object where all the speakers are stored. They have to establish some relationship so that sessions are related to speakers, speakers are related to sessions. And then they have to they have to have an object where whoever is signing up for the webinar, they have to have all that information, because only when you sign up for that webinar, that's when they will be able to send us an email, a reminder email, if any PowerPoint presentations that are there. So they can send all those. So this is the conference management app that we are trying to create from scratch as a custom application that we are creating. So the goal is not to make more sense out of how the app is used, but the goal is to, while building this application, the goal is to learn some of the platform abilities, some of the out-of-the-box abilities, where Salesforce administration skills or where the configuration skills come in, and what are all the options that are available. Is what that we are going to learn. Okay, so for that app, what we have done is we created something called, I'm clicking on App Launcher. We created something called Conference Management, where we don't have anything. We just created a plain slate app. Nothing is there, and we are gonna build this. Okay. Now, before going to that app, I want to talk about some other things that would help us understand. Remember, while I was creating the app or while I was creating the object, we were accepting a lot of defaults, right? So I want to speak about few things that's going to help a little, that's going to increase our understanding a little bit more on the, on why we are accepting those defaults and stuff. Okay. Okay. First thing. So can anyone tell me, so far with the knowledge that you have, let's assume you, okay, let's assume you own a company. Okay. Let's assume you own a company and you are using a customer relationship management application. I mean, you bought Salesforce. You bought 500 Salesforce licenses, and you said, okay, you gave your technical team, and you said to your technical team that, okay, I bought Salesforce 500 Salesforce licenses, and here are the 500 licenses. implement, we will be using Salesforce as our customer relationship management, and we will also be building some custom applications on need basis whenever we need. We will be evaluating the requirements, and we will build those custom applications on Salesforce, is what you mentioned, what you told. So now, you are an owner, like you are the owner of the company, and you bought Salesforce licenses and you're implementing it. Okay. First question, from your perspective as the owner, who are the users of this application? When you hear the word, as an owner, when you hear the word, who are the users of this application? Like, who will be them? Like, when you hear the word user, what does that mean to you?
Employees. Sales rep.
Good. Yeah. Sales reps or employees. So user is nothing but, hey, we are all users of Gmail. So users are nothing but people who are going to actually use this application. I love the examples that you gave. I think somebody said employees, and some people said sales reps. Yes, if you are of course, your sales reps are nothing but your employees, and they are going to go out, try to bring you leads. If you are in sales business, they are going to try to bring you leads, win you opportunities and all. So users are nothing but, as an owner, from your perspective, users are nothing but the people who are going to work on it, who are going to consume the application. Okay. Now, who are developers or system admins? As an owner, is developer or system admin a user or not?
Yes.
So let's say you have 500 licenses, right? In the 500 licenses, you had 3 developers and 2 administrators. Okay. Now, these 5 people, are they going to use up among the 500 licenses? Are these like 3 developers and 2 administrators? Are these people going to use up your licenses or no?
Yeah. Yes.
So they are going to, among the 500, they are going to use up 5 licenses. So are those people users or not? Yes, they are users. But they are privileged users. When I say privileged users, so these people are also users. As an admin or as a developer, you are also a user. But you have system admin permission. When I say you have system admin permission, you have more permission to customize and configure the application. Whereas the other people, like the other employees or sales reps or other people who are using this application are regular end users. Okay? Just always think in Gmail terms. See, we are all users for Gmail, right? We don't have any special permissions. All we do is we just, whatever features that are given there for us by Gmail, we just use those features. That's it. But just like us, there are also other users of Gmail who are system admins. They might work for Google, and they might be system admins or developers for Google, and they have special privileges. They can configure things, they can customize, they can change the settings, they can do all that. So similarly, as a developer, so from your owner's perspective, if you hire 5 people who are going to be technical team, and if you give them access to Salesforce, you give them access by making them system admin, okay, by making them system admin. So they have special privileges where they can customize and configure the application. Okay, good. If you hear from, again, same example, same context. You are the owner, you have 500 licenses, technical team used 5 licenses, and the rest of the sales reps or employees are using other 495 licenses. Okay, good. Now, from your point of view, who are customers? When you hear the word customers, where do you think the customer information is stored in your application, in your Salesforce application?
In a CRM application, way we made it.
Where? Which object? Which object will be used to store your customer information? Like, if you hear the word, hey, the one of the customer is having this issue. One of the customer is having this issue. Like if you, like in a meeting, if you hear a word, hey, this customer is having this trouble. This customer complained that they're this should happen. Like, who are customers for you? Like, where is that information stored?
Account.
Is it account or contact?
Account.
Account.
Is it account or contact?
Account.
Okay, it's both. I would say both is the right answer. The account is nothing but, your clients, your actual businesses are accounts, but the actual customers, like, I think you're right. We can use accounts and contacts. So your customers are nothing but the accounts are your, the clients that you're doing business with, and all the people who work for those accounts are nothing but customers. Okay. So the reason why I'm saying this is, so let's make it clear. If you're using a Salesforce instance, if there is a Salesforce org, system administrators or the people who work for the company, the employee, they are users of the system. Okay. And then the other, like the people who the company does business with, that information is basically stored in accounts and contacts, and they are called as customers or clients, okay, who they are doing business with. So this is the reason. I mean, it might sound very straightforward now, because when you go walk into a meeting, right, on day one, let's say you walk into a meeting on your day one of your job, see, they never use the word account or contact or user or like, I mean, they never tell you, oh, one of our employees having this issue. So they always use the word, hey, one of our customers is having this issue. Or this user, there is a user who called me from this area. The user said they are having this issue. So, like, we need to be able to understand those terms, from our perspective, like who are users, who are system admin, who are developers, who are customers, who are business owners or the process owners. So you have that. Okay, good. Now, let's talk about the point between just the users, within the users. Forget about customers or clients, within the users. So we have, at least for now, what we are saying is, we have a group of technical people called developers or system administrators, and then we have other regular users who are going to use the application. Now, how would you differentiate them? Like, basically, you are assigning the same license. You are assigning same Salesforce. Out of the 500 licenses, you are assigning 5 licenses to these developers, okay? Developers or admin, and you are assigning 495 licenses to other people. Now, like, there has to be something, right? There has to be something that will differentiate you from others, because, see, as a system admin or developer, you are able to do more things, whereas as an end user, you are able to do less things. So there has to be something, there has to be something that must be controlling it, right? That must be controlling in Salesforce that says, hey, you know what? You get all these permissions, the configuration ability, customization ability. Hey, you know what? You will not get all these abilities. You will only do limited amount of work, whatever that. So the thing that controls the permissions is nothing but, we call it as a profile in Salesforce, okay? In Salesforce, we have a concept called profiles. See, I mean, profile makes sense, right? Profiling. Profile is nothing but, it's a group of permissions. It's a set of permissions. So as a system administrator, so as a developer or a system administrator, when we are creating a user account for you, we give system administrator profile for you. So the system administrator profile gives you all these, like it would give you all the permissions. Whereas for regular users, we give other regular user profile. So this way, like within the Salesforce, within the instance, we are differentiating what a user can do in the system. Okay, that's a profile. Okay, now within the profile, again we will discuss the profile concept very detailed. But I want to give the introduction so that you know why we are accepting the defaults or whatever. Now within the profile, let's say within a company, do we have multiple departments or not? Like, for example, we have accounts payable department. We have accounts receivable department. We have HR department. We have sales department. We have, people who work in the customer service. So there are different departments, and lot of employees work for each department. Okay. And now Salesforce as a CRM application, you are building, like you built an application for accounts payable team, like invoice application for accounts payable team, or you built an application for accounts receivable team. You built an employee, like, job portal management application for HR. So you built different applications for different people. Now, let's say people who are working in the HR department, will they have any work with invoices? No. Like, are people who are working in the sales department, do they have anything to do with the HR applications? No. So within your 495 users, okay, 5 users, take it out. They got the system administration profile. Good. They are doing all the system administration, customization, configuration activities. Now there are other 495 users. For all other 495 users, there are different departments. Let's assume 50 people per each department, and you're building different apps. You're building. So what should happen? HR people only should see HR related things, and they should only be able to perform HR related activities. Now, accounts receivable team should only do their work. Okay. If like our customer sales people should only see sales related activities. Customer service people should only see or perform only customer related activities. If we are opening up everything to everybody, there is no point. There is no security. There is no separation of concerns, right? So that's why what we will do, like I mentioned, in Salesforce we have a concept of profile. So what we do is, just like system admin profile, we will create a profile called HR profile. We'll create a profile called sales profile. We'll create a profile called, human resource profile. And what we do among these 495 users, all the people who are working in HR department, we'll assign them HR profile. All the people who are working in, accounts receivable team, we assign accounts receivable profile. This way, like what is happening? System administrators, because of our profile, we are able to do all the configuration customization. HR people, because of their profile, they're able to do the things that they are supposed to. Like, there is a good separation, and we are clearly controlling who does what. And there is a concept called profile that is really helping us to do that. Okay? Like, imagine, I think you must have, if you have done masters here, I'm sure you must have an application called Blackboard, or any university might have some application where, you see, we get a student profile. Like, as a student, we always get student profile where we can see the assignment, we can submit our assignment, we can participate in group discussion, we can do some stuff. Whereas a professor basically all professors get professor profile where they can post, assignment, they can access all the submissions, not only our submission, but they can access all the submissions. So, you see, it's a very common thing for any application to have this separation of what every individual person who have that application access to. So in the same way, within Salesforce, we have that concept called profile, and that profile really helps us to differentiate what each user can do. Okay? Now, this is the info that I wanted to put forward before we move on into actually building the app. Any questions here? Is everybody clear with respect to who the user is, who a customer is, who a system admin is, what is meant by profile, and why do we need the concept of profile? Everybody good with that?
Yep.
All right. Okay. Awesome. So let me see. Lavin, you good with that?
Yes, Raman, I'm good with that.
Okay, good. Let me move on to now let's start building the conference management app. Okay, so we created the app. Now let's create an object called session. Okay, give me 1 second. Give me just 1 second. Okay, let's create this object called session. So as an administrator, like I'm sure everybody, see, there is no differentiation between developer or administrator. Everybody gets system admin profile. So as a developer or as an administrator, or as a technical person who knows everything about Salesforce, your life always revolves around clicking setup. Okay. So you have to go to this wrench icon and click setup. So our life revolves around this area. Okay. So now I want to create a new object. The name of that object is session. Like, so the session is nothing but Spring 19 webinar or Summer 19 webinar or Salesforce development training, Lightning component framework development. Like, I just want to capture what that session is about. Okay. So now I gave an intro about what conference management app is, right? You guys understand what it is overall, because, as a developer or admin, you have to know the end goal. Like, you have to know what we are trying to build, what is the outcome of the app that we are trying to build. Without that, there is no point. So is everybody good with what app that we are going to build, the conference management app?
Just give a brief explanation.
Okay, so we are going to build an app to, let's assume as a company, we are going to host conferences. As a company, we are going to host conferences. Let's say we are a technical company like Google or Salesforce. We are a technical company and we are maintaining a Salesforce instance. And the requirement is we have to build a conference management app. That means we want to create some webinars, or we want to create some meetings, and we want to ask some of our people to talk in those meetings or present their content in the meeting. And then at the same time, we also want to capture the people who have, the customers who have signed up for our meetings. Okay. So when I think if there is any product company, in order to explain about their product, they will conduct some sessions, webinars, and, they will ask some of their lead salespeople to go and talk in those webinars. And then when the webinar is conducted, you don't just conduct the webinar right away, right? You schedule it. Okay, next Monday there is going to be a webinar at this time, and these are the people who are going to talk in that webinar. And then what would you do? You would also capture how many people are signing up for it, right? How many people who are attending for a webinar, how many people are signing up for it. Okay. So we want to build an app with a data model that does all those things. Okay. So that's why we already created an app, just an app called conference management. Now we are going to create an object called session. Like the name session indicates, the name of the object session indicates that we are going to capture session related information. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm in setup. I'm in object manager already. I click setup. So when we go to setup, see, there are two ways that you can access the object. Either you can go to objects and fields here, or there is object manager already available, because, of course, as an admin or developer, you'll always be working with objects and fields. That's why Salesforce already created a shortcut for us here called object manager. Okay. Now, I'm going to create a custom object. Okay. I'm going to name it as session. And plural is nothing but sessions. Okay. As a good developer or a good admin, you will put in the description. So people who come after you, even when you leave the company, people who come after you can look at this object and like, oh, this is the reason why it is created. Because imagine there is an application or there is an org with 500 objects. You have to know why why every object is being created for. So let's, okay. So the description is, see, even when I'm working in real time, I have 5 years, 6 years of experience, and I definitely still do this. I mean, I love doing this stuff, like writing descriptions. any field that I create. I write a neat description. Hey, I'm creating this field. Like I take time and I really do that. And like, not many people do it, but I would really encourage you to do this. It gives a good feeling when you do these things. So this object is used to capture. Okay. Forget about this. Don't worry about it. So far, I know what it does, but I never really had a chance to use them. Okay. So, in case you really wanted to use that, you can always Google and find it out, but just forget about that. Now, session name. So remember I told you, whenever you are creating an object, Salesforce doesn't allow you to create a empty object. Salesforce always forces you to create Salesforce always forces you to create at least one column. Okay, and that column is the column that you are going to create is dictated by them. Okay, the data type of that column can only be text or an auto number. Okay, for now we are going to use text. Okay, now the importance of this field. For now, just accept the fact that, okay, whenever I'm going to create an object, I have to create a column, I have to create a field, and the field can only be either data type of auto number or text. Okay, just remember that you have to create that field, and remember I'll give you a perfect explanation why Salesforce does that. Okay, let's accept that fact and move on for now. But once we establish object relationship and all that, I'm gonna explain you why Salesforce is really doing that. What is the functional advantage of doing that? Okay. So for now, yeah, this label works perfectly fine for me. Session name, yeah, because if the session name is nothing but the title, or we can just mark it as I'll name it as session title. Or, you know what, instead of session title or anything, I'll just label it as topic. Okay. So the field name is topic and the data type is going to be text. Okay. And now there are some other features that are available here. Allow reports. What does this mean? So when I check this checkbox, what Salesforce does is it will allow you to report on this data. If I don't check that checkbox, Salesforce will not allow you to report on this data. Let's say top management is going to want to create a report on how many webinars or how many sessions that we are going to conduct in a month, or how many we created last year. So if somebody wants to report on that, we have to check this checkbox. Okay. If we do not check this checkbox, allow reports, they will not be able to report on it. Like, this data won't be available for reporting. Now, I don't see any reason why we won't enable reports for this. But in case there is a requirement that comes to you, and there are some requirements where reporting should not be enabled, yeah, leave it like that. But 99% of the time, this checkbox will be checked, because of course, whenever we are creating a table, we want to report on. But remember this, you will at least get this topic once. So you might get a ticket, like when you go work for a company, you might get a ticket saying, hey, I'm trying to create, like somebody from business team or one of your business analysts will write you an email or will create you a ticket that says, hey, I'm trying to create a report on this data, but I'm unable to create a report. I'm able to create on everything else, but for some reason I'm unable to create on this. Can you fix this for me? I promise you're going to get a ticket like that, and I promise you're going to forget that there is this option. Okay? So first option always, whenever somebody says they are unable to create a report or anything, always come to the object, open the object and see if this checkbox is checked or not. Only if this checkbox is checked, you will be able to report on it. Probably so far in my experience, I got the same ticket at least 15 times so far. Somebody asking, hey, I'm unable to create a report on this object. And every time I come here, I check this, and 99% of the time, this was the issue for that. Okay? Sometimes people forget. I mean, not forget means when creating the object, they might check it, but remember there is a concept of deployment. In real environment, what happens? You do all this development, this object creation, field creation, everything. You do all this development in one test environment, and we call it sandbox, I mentioned before. And then once everything, the app is built, the app is functioning good, everything, all the testing is done, that's when we move these changes from this testing environment into live environment. So while moving the changes from testing environment to live environment, sometimes people might forget some of the things, or some of the components might be missing, and that's the usual reason why this might happen. Okay. So yeah, allow activities. I'll tell you what it is. I'm not gonna allow it now. I'm not gonna allow track field history. I'm not gonna allow, I'm not gonna check this because I want to create the object, then come back, check the checkbox and show you what happens. Check the checkbox and show you what happens. Okay. So for now, all I'm doing is allow reports. Okay. Now this one, 99.999% of the times they will be checked. Okay. By default they are checked, and 99.999% you wouldn't get a requirement to uncheck those. Okay. So keep them like that. Don't change anything. We will get back to that when we are talking about sharing settings and all. For now, just leave them those. Leave those 3 checkboxes there. Okay. Now let's talk about. Okay. Let's talk about deployment status. Okay. So deployed in development. So what is the difference between in development and deployed? Okay. Let's say this is a Salesforce instance. Remember I told you we have 500 users. I'm just giving an example. In one of the examples that I was talking about, we have almost 500 users. Okay. So now among the 500 users, five people are admins or developers. Okay. Now you are trying to, what we are trying to do, we are trying to build this object called as session. We are creating the session object, and we are in the process of building this object. Okay. While in the process of building this object, we don't want anybody to use this. We don't want anybody to create records. We don't want anybody to use this object. We don't want regular users to use this table. Okay. So that's why if you put the deployment status as in development, okay, if you put the deployment status as in development, you can, the name itself is in development. That means you are saying that this object is under construction, or this table is under construction, or this feature is under construction. So Salesforce will not allow anybody to use it. Okay, any regular end users, apart from system administrators, nobody will be able to use it if the deployment status is in development. Whereas if the deployment status is deployed, by default, the deployment status is deployed. If the deployment status is deployed, you are saying that, okay, this is ready to use, go ahead and use it. Okay. Now you might be wondering, hey, just now you mentioned that all the development or anything takes place in a test environment, and only once the changes are good, that's when we move into production. Then why do we have to worry about the deployment status? Correct. 90% of the time, you will not worry about the deployment status. Usually, you put it as deployed because in test environment, the regular end users, all the 495 users, the regular end users will not have access to test environment. Just like for Gmail, we don't have access to Gmail test environment. We don't have access to Facebook test environment. We only have access to the live environment. In the same way, all those 495 users will only have access to the live production environment. they don't have access to test environment. Usually, only system admins will have access to the test environment. So 90% of the time, you will not have to worry about this. Okay, but why did Salesforce even give this feature when we don't have to worry about it? Salesforce gave this feature because one of the good thing about Salesforce is you can make some changes directly in production if you want. Like, if you are a small scale company, if you are a very tiny company, and if your application is very small, if you want to build something directly, if you want to do some basic things directly in production, you can do it. Salesforce won't stop you, or it's not good, but Salesforce won't stop you. You can still build it. So keeping those kind of customers in view, Salesforce have created this feature, whereas for those people, if they are trying to build or create an object in a direct live environment, a regular user do not, they don't want this object to be disturbed, or, they don't want regular users to be creating records in this. That's why they gave this feature. But 99% of the time, we don't have to worry about it. Put it as deployed. Okay? Sometimes you get this issue as well. Some people put it as in development. Now, imagine this. When you're building an app, when you're creating, you will be creating everything as a system admin, right? So you keep it as in development, you do all the things, everything works fine, and then you ask your, testers to test, hey, can you test this? Can you make sure if it is working fine? And they'll come back and say, you know what, I'm unable to see this. And you'd be surprised, like, what the heck? I just tested everything. It was looking fine. But the testers are complaining that they are unable to see anything. One of the possible reasons might be this, where you might have put the deployment status as in development, and hence they might not be able to see this. So usually I never use this feature. Because I never develop anything in production, I always do it in test environment. So I put this. Okay. Now, search status. When setting this, okay. So allow search. We want to allow search. Remember, I think somebody asked me, hey, can we hide this global search bar? No, we cannot hide this global search bar, but by using these settings, like, the search settings, you can make sure whether this record is available in global search or not. Okay, if you uncheck, you see here, right now if I want to search for an account or contact or opportunity, it's available. Whereas if I uncheck this checkbox, when you search for some keywords on this table, the search will not return you any result. But if you allow the search, 99% of the time you would want to allow the search. But sometimes if you are storing some sensitive data like social security numbers or some kind of private information, you might not allow them to search. Okay? Okay, good. Now, I just want to save this. I will come back to these two things later. Okay, I'll come back to these two things later. I just want to save this now. So my object got created, and you see the API name is session_C, and like we spoke about, $_C, C stands for custom. Okay, so we enabled reports, but we did not enable track activities. We did not enable field history. We put the deployment status as deployed, and we created a custom object. That's it. We just created a table we created an object called session_C with one field called as topic. We created one field with the name as topic. Now, what would be the fields that we would need? Like, if you are building, let's say you don't have a business analyst, or let's say you are a business analyst. Okay. What are all the data that we need to capture for an object called session? So we're already capturing the topic name. Okay. So if we are conducting a webinar, if you are responsible of conducting a webinar and you are building an app, so what are the data artifacts that you want to capture?
Date and time, place.
Date and time, good. At what time the session is going to take place? That's good. Yep.
Transaction.
Sorry?
Transaction ID.
Transaction ID. Can you give me use case why it is?
No, I thought we were capturing data. That's what I was thinking.
Because see, the ID, I see every row in Salesforce or like every row in any database will need a primary key, but we spoke about it, right? In Salesforce, we don't have to worry about it ourselves because the platform is taking care of it for us. Whenever you create a row in a table, it's automatically generating that 18-digit ID, right? So for every record that's been created in the system, the 18-digit ID is automatically generated to us by the platform. So
Okay.
we are not worrying about it. So
Okay.
I think I got two things. Yeah, one is topic name. Good. What is the topic? And the second one is what you call date and time. Like at what time that's gonna take place.
Location,
Sorry.
location or place, like where the conference or session is going to be held.
Good. Address. Yes, of course. Yeah. Which location? Like what is the street? Where it is? Absolutely, that's a good one.
It's a fee also. If it's a paid session or a free session.
Yeah. If you want to capture that, like if it is open for everybody or are there any restrictions? Good.
Number of people attended, maybe.
Yeah, we might want to have a column there. Like we might want to have a column there called number of people attended, which we will use when the conference is completed. We would want to see if the conference is successful or not. Good. These are good points.
We can put a speaker, but I think you will create a separate object for speakers, I guess. Session speaker or something.
Yeah, that's separate. We are only talking about the session object. Like we want to capture information. We are only thinking about the session object. What information we want to capture in this?
And what time to what time?
Good. Duration. So we are capturing
age group.
Yes. If instead of age group, if you want to keep it generic, we can say, hey, is it advanced level, intermediate level, or beginner level? So we can have something like that.
Maybe gender.
Yeah, these are all good possibilities depending on what kind of webinar it is. Like we mentioned, you see, just within a session, like just about thinking about a session object, we got so many thoughts, and like these are all good thoughts, but few things we might use it, like all these columns or all the data artifacts that we are capturing may not applicable for all the scenarios. Like I think topic name, time, location, level, like the beginner, intermediate, like these are applicable for probably any kind of webinar, but or number of people attended, that is applicable for any type of webinar. People like gender, it depends. It depends on the type of the webinar. So I think there are other things that were suggested too. Yeah. Now let's start with some of the things that we spoke about. Okay. Now before I want to go there, I want to understand what is meant by a data type. Okay, I'll ask you a question. I'll ask the question in a different way. So, number of people attended. If you want to capture number of people attended, how would you capture it? Would it be a number
digit,
or would it be
number?
A text? Number. Okay, good. So, start time of the webinar, like what time the webinar starts. So, what are you trying to capture there?
Date and time.
Date and time. Good. Yeah, time means date and time. Good. So that's one. Topic name. So on the topic name, what are we trying to capture? What kind of data that we are trying to capture? Is it a text, number?
It's
what
a text.
Text. Okay, that's good. So that means, data type is nothing but, I think you have answered what data type means. So depending on our requirement, we are capturing different types of data. So topic name, we are capturing text information. Or start time, what time the webinar start, we are capturing what you call
date and time.
A date and time. expected number, expected turnout. Like, for every webinar, we will expect a turnout, right? So expected turnout is a number. We are assuming 300 people will be attending. So that's a number. So data type is nothing but we will be creating fields. Of course, we will be creating fields. But while creating a field, we need to be wise about the data type that we are going to choose. Okay? Because that's like if it is a text field, if it is a text field, you can always capture number. But if it is a number field, you cannot capture text. Okay? For topic name, you cannot say the data type is number because it's senseless. Like for a topic, it's always going to be a text involved there. So you cannot use a data type called number. So data type is nothing but the type of the data. Like whenever you are creating a field, we have to determine what type of data that we are doing. Okay? Let's go ahead and create some fields. Okay? So I go to fields and relationship. Okay? You see topic. Now these are I know, hey, we only created one, but why are we seeing this owner last modified by created by? These are called audit fields. Okay, last modified by created by, these fields are nothing but these are called audit fields that are given to us by Salesforce. And you see, no API name for these fields have _C. That means these are standard out of the box fields that are given to us by Salesforce. For any object that you create, like any object that you create, Salesforce will give us these. Okay, so that's why you are not seeing any _Cs in the API names. Okay, all right. Now let's create one. Let's create the first topic. First one called date time, right? Because we want to capture what time the webinar is, right? So let's choose date time. So what is the difference between date and date time?
Date and date time will capture both, but date will capture only the date.
That's good. Date is, today versus now. Now means we are saying 31/2019 7 p.m. Today means you're just saying 31/2019. So date time, of course, in this case, we cannot use, we can use date, but if you just use date, you wouldn't know what time the webinar is going to start. So I'm sure the ideal data type. Okay. So now take a pause and take a look at all the data types that are available here. Okay. So just take a second and go through the data types that are available here. So you get an idea of all the data types that are available. So whenever we are creating a field, we use our best judgment to be able to determine what data type that we need to use. Okay, so for now, I'm going to use date time. Oh, sorry, right here. I'm going to click next. Okay, what will be the field label? The field label is nothing but, okay, time of, I'll just say time. Or what would we name it?
Schedule?
Yeah, schedule time. Good. Okay, so when I click here, it's automatically showing me, because API name. See, field label is nothing but on the form, what we are going to show it to the user. Okay, that's the field label. Field name is nothing but the API name. Okay, you might not see _C populated here, but when you see, automatically Salesforce open. Okay, so now we will just say this field is used to capture the time of the event. Okay, help text. I'll show you what this is. I think you all know. So when you are filling something, you see a tiny question mark icon, right? When you if you are filling a form, you see a tiny question mark icon. When you hover over it, it will say what that field is. It will give you some additional information about that. So that's nothing but help text. Okay. Required. Now tell me this. Should this field be always required or not? Like, can we have a webinar without a scheduled time?
No.
Like, It can be, it cannot be. Like, you might want to have a webinar, but you don't know the time yet. So, but in our case, let's mark it as required. Okay, let's say we want this field to be filled so that we can learn the difference between what it is. Okay, so default value, I'll come back to that. So we fill the field label, we fill the field name, description, help text, and we said always require a value in the field. Okay, good. Now, let's talk about this one. You see this? Establish field level security. Okay. So you see, these are all the profiles. Remember, I spoke about the profile, right? I said, hey, we all belong to system admin profile. Okay. Just like system admin profile, these are all the profiles that are given to us automatically by Salesforce. Salesforce is already giving us these profiles. Okay. At the same time, I mentioned you some example, right? HR profile, accounts receivable profile, accounts payable profile. We can create those additional profiles too. But these are the standard out-of-the-box profiles that Salesforce is giving us. We belong to system administrator profile. Now, what this profile is asking? Establish field level security. So Salesforce is asking, okay, you are creating a field, but do you want to show this field to everybody? Or which profile you want to show this field to? That means within an object, you can create numerous amounts of fields at the profile level. Remember, I said profile. Profile is a powerful thing. It controls all the things that you can do in an application, all the things that you can see in an application. Okay. So here, Salesforce is asking you when you are creating a profile, hey, do you want to show this profile? Do you want to show this field to everybody, or do you want to show this field to only like few people, like only specific profile? For now, we don't care. So I'm just accepting the default. I'm just saying, yeah, show it to every profile. Okay. And click next. I'm going to tell you what this is as well. Okay. I'm just going to save it. Okay. You see, we created a field called schedule time. Look at the API name difference. Time _C. This stands for, it's a custom field, and all these are standard field. Good. You also have a data type. It is saying the data type is date time and the data time is text. Okay. Good. So now, all good. So I created an object and I created a field. Now I want to access it. Let me go back to my app, conference management app. My app is still empty, right? Okay. Because see, nothing in IT is magical or automatic or anything. You have to do something to make things happen. See, just because you created a session object doesn't mean it's going to show up in conference management. No, things are not going to happen because you have to do something to make it appear there, right? So, first of all, we created the object. Now, how can we access this object? Like, see, let me go back to one. Okay, let me go back to Sales app here. Okay, I'm going to click on Sales app. I'm navigating to Sales app. If I want to access accounts, okay, if I want to access accounts, how am I going to see all the accounts? I go, click accounts, and see, like you see, I'm able to access information. If I want to access opportunities, I'm going to click opportunities, and I'm going to look at this. Okay, if I want to see employees, I'm going to click on this. So what do we call this? This is called a tab. Okay, so you see this opportunities is called a tab. Like this, the UI component. Okay, the UI component that is helping you to access this object is called a tab. Okay, now similarly, I'm going to go back to our conference management tab. See, we have an object. We created the object, but there is no way for us to access this object, right? So, in order to access this object, we need to create a tab. Let's do that. So, anywhere, anything that you want to do, always click the wrench icon. Go to setup. Okay. Now, you are not sure. So, you want to create a tab, but you are not sure where the tab is. Like, how you want to create. Just don't worry. Even I don't know because in my job, I use Classic, so I don't know Lightning. So, I don't know where we would create a tab for, but I'm just going to type for tab. Okay, you see, automatically. So it is in user interface. All I did is I want to create a tab, right? I don't know where it is. Like, these are closed, so I don't know where it is. So it is in user interface. So it is here in tabs, but I don't have the patience to go through search for all those things. So I'll just say tab. Okay, and it automatically gave me this. I'm gonna click this. Okay, so tabs. I'm gonna click new. So I want to create a tab. So for which object? For object session. For the session object, I want to create a tab. So now the tab style, don't worry about it. Choose anything. I just chose some random thing. Maybe let me choose an alarm clock or something. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. It doesn't really matter what you're choosing. It just determines what color, some aesthetic things. Okay. So click next. Now, same thing. The profile. Again, the profile came into picture. It is asking, hey, to which profile you want to show this tab to? Yeah, you are creating a tab. Good. Just like in Sales app. In Sales app, we have account, contact, so many things. So you are about to create a tab. But who do you want to show this tab to? Do you want to show this tab to everybody? Or do you want to show this tab to only few people? Now, you see this? I'll just say apply different tab visibility to each profile. And I'll just keep on tab hidden. I don't want everybody to use this. I only want system administrators to use this. So for all the profiles, for all the profiles that are given here, I'm marking them as tab hidden. Okay. So the technique will be, I'll just say tab hidden. Like first I click this, I make it tab hidden. So it is going to be tab hidden for everybody. Then I click here. I come to system administrator and I'll just say default on. Okay. So there are three settings: default on, default off, tab hidden. So default, I'll tell you the differences. Okay. I'll just remember the three words: default on, default off, tab hidden. So right now what I'm doing here, so there are some profiles. If we create some custom profile, even those profiles will appear here. So while creating the tab, Salesforce is asking me, hey, which profiles you want to expose this tab to? I'm just saying for now, expose it only for system administrator. So that's why I made the setting. For all the profiles, the tab visibility is tab hidden, which is very straightforward. That means we are saying don't show the tab. But for system administrator, we are making it default on. Okay. And then I click next. Okay, good. Now, the other thing that it is asking is, which app? I think you guys should answer me this. What should I do here in this screen? What should I do this? Read the description that's given there and tell me what should I do this.
Like, do you want the tab to be visible in all the objects, or you want to be visible only on session or conference management?
So can you, you are, I wouldn't say you're right. You said object. So what is the screen asking?
We will only select conference management. Other all will be unchecked.
That's good. That's good. Why is that? Why?
Because we want to see this tab only into the conference management app.
That's good, because see, we are building a separate app of our own, and see, we are saying this session management, like this session, we want this object to be available or the tab to be available only in conference management. We don't want it to appear in sales app or service app. This doesn't make sense there. So all we're doing is we are just unchecking and we are just only checking conference management app. This way what happens? This tab will only appear in conference management app. Okay. So let me click save. Good. I click save. So the tab is created. We have the object. We have couple fields and we have the tab created. Good. Let's try to access it now. Oh, okay. Any questions so far? Anything? So now, did you understand why the concept of profile is so important?
Yes.
Look at Salesforce, how they design this. So they introduce a concept called profile. Profile is nothing but a bunch of permissions. And look at how granular, at what minute level they are controlling the security. They are saying when you create a field, they are saying which individually, which field should be visible to what profile. When you create a tab, it is asking you, hey, which profile should have access to this tab? Okay, even if they have access, should it be tab hidden, default on, or default off? And then it is asking, okay, this tab, which app this tab should be available. Like, imagine how many things they are controlling with this. See, the reason why we are paying money for this is these are all platform features, okay? So the standard software as a service app is good, but the Power Lightning platform, the platform that this is platform as a service, right? So if at all you want to do this, if at all you want to control these visibilities, control field level security and all those, like how much amount of work that you have to do in a different technology like in .NET or Java, if you want to implement all these security features, you have to do so much work to be able to get here. All we are doing is, hey, like navigated a few things, clicked some buttons, created a table, we are creating a field, we are choosing the data type, we are marking whether the field is required or not, we are making sure to which profile this is visible or which app, we are doing all these things just by using point and click. See, this is development too. This is not administration. This is development too. But because you're not writing any code, you're just configuring and you're building apps on your own. Okay, just by point and click. Okay. Now let's access our app. So let's click here. Go to our conference management. Like I told you, Salesforce does this because of cache management. So I'm going to refresh this a couple times. Until my tab appears. Okay.
Sam, you have created a Lightning app, right?
Yes.
So will it be visible in Classic?
No. If you create a sole Lightning app, it won't be visible in Classic. But if you create a Classic app, if you create an app in Classic, okay, you get an option called Show this app in Lightning. Like when you're creating an app in Classic, or if you already have an existing app in Classic, you get a checkbox called Show this app in Lightning. So when you check that checkbox, that app will be visible in both. But if you create an app in Lightning, that app is available only in Lightning.
So if you want to add custom objects or anything, you have to do it in Lightning. You cannot go to Classic.
No. You see, creating an app is easy thing, right? When you define all your objects, fields, field level security and everything, all you do is you just create an app is nothing but it's a container, right? All you do is in Classic, you create an app, drag all the tabs that you want and just save and then start using it.
No. I'm not asking I have already created an app in Lightning. So, and I have inserted, in the tab there are few objects also. But on later time, for my easy or whatever you say, I'm more comfortable with Classic. So if I want to do any changes at object level, I won't be able to see those objects in Classic. That's what you're saying.
You will be able to see. I'm in Classic, right?
Yeah.
I go to Setup. I go to Object. You see Session Object. You see all the fields. You see. See, that's why. So this is actually, you raised a very good point here. Okay. Lightning or Classic. Okay. These two things differ in the UI perspective. The way, see, Classic UI is not that advanced. It's a little bit back end UI. Whereas Lightning UI is a bit more advanced because it uses the most latest technologies and hence the UI is different. But my first and foremost thing, we should not get carried away with the words Lightning or Classic, because the core concept of object creation, objects, like you see, Lightning or Classic, it doesn't matter. What is meant by an object? We are creating a table at the database level. So in the database, a table is created for us when we created an object. When we create fields, a table, all the columns are getting created at the database level. And, the data that is getting filled, all those things are at the database level. So at the actual database level, at the core platform level, nothing is different between Lightning or Classic. Only the presentation layer, like how you get the data from the database and how you present it, is different. Okay? So at an object level, field level, like the way you write code, the way you query it, the way you perform the ML operation, everything is exactly same, whether it's Lightning or Classic. Okay?
Yes.
So I'm going to switch back to Lightning. Oh, man, why is... Like, see, I hate the session. This is one thing I hate about Lightning, where,
Will there be any performance change between our account, like developer account, and the company, enterprise account?
I think performance-wise, at least whatever that I built or I tested, I noticed very similar performance between what we have and the actual enterprise edition ones. Like, the actual, the actual ones that we use at the company level. I found everything as same. Why is it saying Okay. Here is what I'm gonna do. Okay, good. Any questions? Is it Niranjan that's speaking? Oh yeah, Niranjan. Okay. So I added my app to the conference management app. For some reason, it's saying I didn't. Okay, so no panic. I'm gonna come back to my setup. I'm gonna come back to my setup. I'm gonna go to App Manager. Okay, the place where we customized our app yesterday. Like, this is where we created the app yesterday. So I'm gonna come to Conference Management. Okay, I'm gonna click Edit. I'm gonna go to the navigation items and pull my Session tab. Okay, you see we have the Session tab. I'm gonna click it. I'm gonna pull the Session tab here and hit Save. Okay, so this ensures that the tab, like what you call the Session tab that I added, will appear in the conference management. So I saved it and I'm gonna go back. Okay, good. Now I'm gonna go to my, of course I have to refresh. Come on. This is the, good. Now it appears. You see, now in the conference management app, I see sessions. Okay. So you see, I created a tab, and using this tab, I'm able to access my object. Okay. Now you see, we did not create this new change owner. We did not create this list views and everything, but the platform is already giving you, the moment you create a table, the platform is automatically giving you all these things. Okay. We created a tab to be able to access this. Okay. And we said this tab is available only in the conference management application. Okay. Let's just create one record here. So in order to create a record, so if you are a user, if there is a user, how would they do it? They click on new. You see, topic. Topic is, let's say, SFDC administration. Okay. So you see here the difference between, you see, this is the help text. Remember, while creating the object, while creating the field, we got an option called help text. Add the help text. So when we add the help text, automatically we are going to get this I, and when we hover over it, you see it's saying enter the time when the event is scheduled. Okay. Now, while also creating this field, we mark this field as required. Okay. So let's try to see to save this record without filling this. Like when I say this, you see because we marked it as required, because we marked the field as required, it is saying, hey, complete this field, without which I'm not going to allow you to save. So I'm going to choose a date. Okay, tomorrow, 6 p.m. Okay, and hit save. See, the record got created automatically. So the topic is SFDC administration, and we schedule the time at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Remember, when we see the object, automatically there were some fields like created by last month. I said these are audit fields. So when I say these are audit fields, you see, you can edit these, but you can never edit these ones because you see, created by. It is telling a timestamp when this record was created. You can never ever change this. You can never change the created by or created time because it is a system audit field. Salesforce is saying this row is inserted in the database at this time by this person. So you can never change it. So when I click edit, let's say I change the time from 6 to 6:30 and save, see automatic. My time zone is set to California time zone. That's why it is showing us, even though the time is 7:24, my time zone is set to, like, when I say my time zone, on my user profile, my time zone is set to Pacific time zone. That's why it is showing us 4:24, which is nothing but 7:24 p.m. So if I come back tomorrow and edit it, it will change tomorrow's time. So this is indicating that, okay, when was this record last modified? When was this record created? Okay, who is owning the record? Like, we'll come back to the topic of owner and all that. Okay, so now, so we have what you call related would be empty because there is no related list, which will come back again. So details are nothing but we name the topic as SFDC administration and we schedule a time. It's going to be 6:30 and we got this. Okay, let's clear out the help text and let's see, let's clear out the required field. Okay, let's go back to setup. Let's go back to setup. Go back to our object manager. Let's go to session, which is our object, and go to fields and relationship. Okay, so let's go to our schedule time field. Click edit. Okay, so let me clear out this help text. See, schedule time, it's already self-explanatory, so we don't want any help text. So let me clear this out. Sorry. And then let me also uncheck this required. Okay, let me uncheck this always require a value and hit save. Okay, now let's go back to our conference management app. Let me click new. You see, when I click new, previously it was showing me the eye icon with the help text, and it was also showing me a star asterisk saying that this field is required. But now, I'm just saying some future SFDC time slot. Okay, and I don't want to save any time because I'm just holding I'm just holding a meeting just to remind me, but I don't want to schedule it now. So I'm just gonna save it. So before it was, I just want to have to refresh. Don't worry, when you remove this and if it was still showing the eye icon, don't worry, just refresh it multiple times. Okay, but it's gonna settle down. So you see, this is empty and it's not gonna show anything. So now I'm able to save it and I'm unable to see any help text or anything. Okay, so this way, again, in reality, what we do, the business requirements drive it. But now, like, our goal is to look at different options and explore, like, what is help text, what is, saving a record and all that stuff. Okay, any questions so far on object creation, field creation, data types, some of the properties like help text, making a field required, adding a tab, profile, any questions so far on the topics that we discussed so far?
No.
Okay, good. Any Renu, do you have any question?
No, Shravan, I'm fine.
Good. Karthik, any questions?
Yeah, it's clear. No questions.
Okay. So tomorrow we'll meet around 6 o'clock. But again, I want you guys to. I mean, you can create the same app. You can create a different app. I don't mind whatever you do. But I just want you to, like, create an app, create an object, couple fields, add the tab and call it a day. Like, just spend 5-10 minutes doing that, so you're like good. See, once, like, probably if you work as Salesforce developer in your lifetime, if you work for 5 years, you'll be creating hundreds and hundreds of objects. But all you have to do is just learn it once, like how to create an object, what are the data types, you just learn it once, and you create hundreds and hundreds of objects. Okay, so just learn it once and apply it numerous times. If I teach you, if I show you, things might feel easier, but when you put it into practice, you might feel it a bit difficult, or you might be confused with the navigation. So try to get cleared on those things.
And Shravan, earlier you said we will be developing this conference management app, right? So
yeah.
So we will be going. You will be creating all the objects, or you will just give the fields which are related. We will. I mean, are you going to give it as an assignment or something?
No, we are gonna create all objects. But the thing is, the way I want to create objects is, we'll be learning about different data types, like field dependencies, pick list, multi-select pick list, field dependencies. Like what is an external ID. So I will create all the objects, but while creating, I want to make it meaningful. Like every field that we create, we are learning something new. Every field, like we are trying to do some, get some new feature out of it. So that's how I'm definitely gonna create all the objects. I'm gonna, but like we will get some value out of every field that we are gonna create. Okay, but these things, right, like adding probably from third, fourth field onwards, it's going to be straightforward, because now that we cleared all the profile, all those things out of the way, from third and fourth field onwards, it's going to be, probably pretty quick. So we'll be creating all the objects, get the whole app, because the reason why I want to do that is I want to talk about validations. I want to talk about workflows, process builder, sending email alerts. And then at the same time, there are some scenarios that are not possible through configuration, and we have to write code in that. So, like if we build a comprehensive app, that's when we'll be able to deal all the scenarios and understand it in real context. So yes, we will be building the whole app.
Okay, the reason why I asked, I thought it might, like creation of objects and all, as we are aware now, so that might have been. Anyway.
Yeah, but creation of object we are aware, but all the data types, right? Like we have.
Now I got it. Like we haven't talked about pick or formula fields, so there are many.
Yeah, pick list, formula fields, dependent pick list, multi-select, and every has their own features. That's why we have to, I'll try to create those fields, even though they are not meaningful to the app. But if it adds value, so we can learn about that data type, I want to talk about it. Okay. All right. Again, feel free to call me or text me or email me if you have any question, if you're not following or anything like that. Okay. And I'll be happy to answer. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.